Good morning. You're listening to 90.3 WMSC, Upper Montclair, New Jersey. My name is Ryan Trick, and this is the Morning Buzz. Welcome. Welcome back, all our radio listeners, all our beautiful people out there who are watching on Facebook Live as well. Welcome to you. You can check us out there. Today is a beautiful Thursday, August 20th. I am filling in for Kaya Masiak, and today I'm joined by my co-hosts and contributors and wonderful other radio people, Crystal Santos and Sabrina. How you guys doing?
Good
Good.
morning. Oh my God.
Good
What do we
morning.
owe this honor of having Ryan on our Thursday morning buzz? Jesus.
Yeah, I was gonna say, wait a second, Kaya, you look different. What happened here?
I don't know. I grew taller and cut my hair and got glasses.
Me too.
Sorry. Just some joking love for Kaya. She's out with her family today, so as I said, I will be filling in. I just can't get enough of the radio. I'm in studio again, if you are curious to see the studio here on Facebook Live. But before we get into the show and before we get on with a wonderful interview that we have coming up here, it's some I gotta continue the tradition. You know, Kai always does the national holidays. Every day is always National Something Day. Who knew? I didn't until Kai started doing it, so I will carry on. Today is International Day of Medical Transporters. Thank you to all our first responders out there and everybody keeping the world spinning. National Bacon Lovers Day. Shout out to, I don't know, like literally everybody who's human. National Chocolate Pecan Pie Day, Virtual Worlds Day, World Mosquito Day, which I am not as much of a fan of, and of course, probably the most important holiday of the year. No, I'm not talking about Christmas in July. I am talking about National Radio Day. So
Woo!
happy National Radio Day to
Yeah.
all of our other radio
Woo!
people out there.
Congratulations to you.
Congrats to us. We're
Woo!
doing it. We're still here.
It's our holiday.
It is. It's our holiday. Annabella, do I get the day off? Probably not. I have a meeting later today. That said, before we get into the wonderful stories we have for you today, we're going to be talking about some weird mosquitoes and possible the DNC things and all kinds of wonderful political stuff here at Montclair State University too. But before we get into that, Sabrina is here, not in studio, but in our little virtual studio with the newscast. Sabrina, what's going on?
All right. Oh, okay. So today, on August 20th, 2020, first with U.S. News on Wednesday night, the Democrats formally nominated Senator Kamala Harris for vice presidency. For the first time, a woman of color is being placed on a major party platform. She is showcasing the diversity of race and gender that the Democrats believe will help them defeat President Trump in the fall. Also for U.S. News, in Northern California, raging fires continue to spread, forcing residents to evacuate as the wildfires engulf dozens of homes. A group of fires in Sacramento doubled in size yesterday, growing to be 124,000 acres and threatening over 25,000 structures. As of this morning, the wildfires have burned more than 300,000 acres across California. The area is also experiencing a, start quote, historical lightning siege, end quote. Over 11,000 lightning strikes have occurred in the recent days, inducing more than 367 new fires. As of now, only one individual has died, a helicopter pilot who crashed while trying to drop water in Fresno County. For local news, in New Jersey, yesterday, Governor Phil Murphy warned school administrators that they must have a good reason to be postponing in-person learning for the upcoming school year. Murphy declared that an all-remote start is okay as long as there is some evidence to why they can't meet social distancing and ventilation requirements to reopen safely. Over 85 districts from New Jersey said they wanted to keep students home throughout the start of the school year. However, this morning, the state education officials have admitted that none of the districts wanting to change to all remote have been approved, as the state is still establishing a system for resubmissions. Lastly, for international news, the scientists living in Kenya saved the northern white rhino from extinction. It was believed that the last two northern white rhinos, who are named Fatu and Najin, were on the verge of dying out. after the final male died unexpectedly in 2018. However, after the scientists harvest the eggs from the last 2 female northern white rhinos, they managed to produce 10 eggs from Fatu and Najin. Their eggs are now being sent to a medical laboratory in Italy, where scientists will attempt to fertilize them with a frozen sperm from a northern white rhino bull. And for weather, in Randolph, New Jersey, it is currently 64 degrees outside with a high of 78 and a low of 57 with a 10% chance of rain today. Today, we will also be having 76% of humidity and a sunset at 7:48 p.m. And that is all for your newscast today on August 20th.
Thank you, Sabrina. So we are here at Montclair State. We are T-minus 4 days away from the start of the semester, which is kind of crazy to think about after we've had such a hectic spring break, end of the last semester, and leading into summer. I get to be in the studio to help carry out the morning show. This is the second day in 5 months of me being here. It feels surreal, but it's awesome. And I love being back. So the launch of the fall semester comes amid a long list of uncertainties for professors, teachers, staff, students, families, everybody. And here to talk about MSU's 60-plus page long restart plan and what kind of involvement professors and staff had in this document, plus sentiments among the population that is meant to guide us through this time, is the one and only Dr. Rich Wolfson, a professor at Montclair State and president of the local American Federation of Teachers. So, Dr. Wolfson, thank you for joining us.
Oh, glad to be here.
So,
It's great to have you.
Dr. Wolfson, you have been at Montclair State for a long time. Your primary role is teaching about teaching and learning. How long exactly have you been at Montclair State?
Well, this was the end of, I think, my 39th year. 39, wow. I came in 1982. And at the time we had a program in industrial technology, and that was my passion. And we trained industrial arts teachers in that program, as well as mid-level managers for industrial and manufacturing facilities in New Jersey. And in the last 40 years, unfortunately, a lot of manufacturing has moved out of New Jersey to places unknown, actually known, but far away. And my passion to teach teachers started to grow, and I moved to the Department of Curriculum and Teaching, now the Department of Teaching and Learning. So teaching teachers, yep.
Awesome. So you have a role that to us kind of seems like a hot seat right now. As president of the local AFT, as we can see on your background, you get to communicate with the administration and board of trustees on behalf of the faculty and staff. This surely must be kind of a tense time for you. Some people may be feeling comfortable in a classroom, students and teachers alike, and some, not so much. So what is your sense of talking to professors and staff about the state of the pandemic and MSU's preparation to tackle with a full, blended model?
Yeah, well, that's a pretty broad question. So at the end of the day, I want to let you know that all of your professors, both full-time and adjunct and specialists, as well as the staff, all want to be back on campus. There's lots of reasons. We like going to work. We like interacting with everybody, particularly students. So the idea, so going back to work is something that we're all looking forward to. The issue right now is, can we go back to work safely? And can we go back to work in a way that protects the university as well? Because obviously we have an educational mission to fulfill, and we have financial obligations as part of the university as well that would create considerable hardship if we weren't able to meet them. And this is not presenting any simple answer. So what happened was, we knew the pandemic was coming. This beard, the last day I shaved was March 13th. I remember that day I'm not really good at remembering, pretty much any particular day, but I remember that day because I was out in schools visiting students, trying to get some visits in before the unknown came, and schools were either going to be closed or our students would be told that they couldn't be in the schools anymore. And that afternoon, the word came that schools in New Jersey mostly were going to close, and our students were being pulled from their placements as student teachers and fieldwork students. From that moment on, March 13th till today, it's been every day dealing with the issues of reopening. So in the beginning, Dr. Cole established a committee of mostly administrators, some deans, vice presidents, and one faculty member to be, as she describes it, as an advisory committee to her. And that committee began to meet and put together the report that you referenced. So the report is extensive. There's a lot in it. But essentially, at that point, the union started asking how decisions were going to be made. And we were told that Susan Cole is making the decisions based upon input mostly from this committee. And the committee was not broad-based. In fact, the single faculty member that was on the committee resigned in protest for a variety of different reasons, not the least of which is that she didn't feel that the committee was taking her input. And that faculty member, by the way, was the only person on the committee that actually had public health experience. So it was clear to her that the university wanted to open, and this committee was providing a way for that to happen. I'm going to say very particularly providing lip service to the health and safety of the students, the faculty, and the staff that are coming back for reasons that the university has not necessarily disclosed. That report came out and essentially said, okay, we expect to be in stage 3 by the end of August, and here's the way that we're going to open in stage 3. And of course, now we're not in stage 3, we're only in stage 2. And the administration is saying, well, we're sort of de facto stage 3 because we went to the governor and we got special dispensation to be able to do stage 3 kinds of interactions in stage 2. So it's been 4 months of trying to get the administration to do a couple of things. Firstly, and I spoke to the Board of Trustees about this, was communication. I don't think that Dr. Cole has communicated in the last 4 months 3 times to the entire university, saying that, hey, we're in extraordinary times and we all have to work together to figure out a way to come out on the other side of this, which we eventually will do. Okay. The provost, who is the chief academic officer, has addressed the campus and the academic side of the campus even fewer times. So it was my mission over the last few months to get the administration to own up to their responsibilities as leadership, which I think that they have unfortunately not lived up to, and I would go so far as to say maybe have even failed at. So where are we? The report came out. The union asked for the data that supported the report. There was no data forthcoming. The administration said that the committee that generated the report was just advisory to Dr. Cole, and there was no reason for them to be able to support any of the things so that they recommended in the committee. And some of them are, extremely interesting. So Ryan, I want to thank you very much for wearing the mask in the studio. I don't know if you're the only one there. Maybe there's, a party going on in the background. Isn't that what happens in, these things? But the the fact is that one of the only things that's going to bring us through this is that if everybody on campus wears a mask. So there's this whole section in the report that says everybody on campus needs to wear a mask. And by the way, if you wear a mask with a valve, that is not allowed, which is a good thing, because those masks were not designed for viruses. Those masks were designed for dust. On the other hand, it also says that you can't wear an N95 mask. And I'm not sure, and I'm paying attention, how to tell the difference between an N95 mask and a KN95 mask, which essentially look the same. Students can't wear, or anybody can't wear a respirator. Okay, I'm not necessarily sure where that came from, but no respirators. And although cloth coverings are allowed, they're also allowing gaiters and bandanas, which provide no protection at all. So those are the kinds of things that we were looking for from that committee in terms of data. Where were these decisions made? Now, of course, as part of the union, one of the things that we do, aside from enforcing the contract and negotiating the contract, is that if any of our members are brought up on any disciplinary charges, chastised in any way, the union represents them, not to get them off the hook if they did something wrong, but to make sure that their due process rights are protected. Okay, so, here we go. Now we have, a mask mandate and a bunch of other masks and a bunch of other mandates. And what happens if somebody does not comply?
Yeah.
And I don't know, Ryan, if you got a chance to walk around campus. I have been on campus a couple of times in the last 4 months, mostly late afternoon and early evening when there's nobody around. I've gone to my office. But reports that I'm getting are that people are not wearing the masks, that contractors are not wearing masks, that that people are being extremely casual with the way that they're wearing the masks, so down over their nose or even just on their chin, so they can say. And then, so then the question is, how is this, going to be enforced? There are some people on campus that are just not used to walking up to somebody and saying, hey, really, that mask protects me and it's required. We have reports outside there in the, I'm going to call it the real world, where people have been confronted and it's turned into a real problem. We've had issues on campus also where people have been asked to put on masks. And in one case, somebody generally well-known on campus, thought that it was okay to be speaking to people with their hand over their mouth. And one of the staff members that were there saw that and brought them over a mask, and that person didn't put the mask on. So I am extremely worried about opening up campus, okay? Look, there are other things. We thought at the beginning of this that we were gonna have widespread testing. We don't have to go into the reasons why we don't have widespread testing, but we don't, okay? And the testing that we have is absolutely inadequate, because if you wait 5 days for the results of a test, that is useless, okay? We don't know if antibody tests actually yield antibodies that are going to protect you. Okay, we do have some contact tracing protocols in place, which anecdotally I think are working. So there's the Hawk Check application that students, I think, are required. Everybody's required, not students. That the community is required to fill out before they would come to campus on any one day. So it asks you if you have, any fever or a cough, any other CDC identified symptoms. And if you do, it says you can't come to campus that day. It's extremely general, and I'm not sure how that is actually going to work. But we do have anecdotal evidence, as I've said, that if you say that you've got a sore throat or any one of the other negative things, that somebody from the health center on campus is following up. Now,
Yeah.
of course, we only have X amount of students on campus now, and that's going to grow exponentially as of next Tuesday. So I'm not sure how that contact tracing is going to happen. One of the things that you should know as students, and you may actually want to get an expert on this to talk to you about it, is that the university has taken the position that they can use our campus Wi-Fi network and access points to track people as they walk anywhere on campus with a cell phone that hits Wi-Fi, and use that data for contact tracing. It's my opinion, and it's not in anybody's best interest to argue about this, but our policy for responsible computing doesn't really outline that the university is going to use data in that way. I'm not thinking that this is giving up individual rights, because I think that the rights of a community in some ways outweigh the rights of an individual. Exactly the reason why everybody has to wear a mask.
Yeah.
But it's invisible, right? And students don't know. I mean, I think the last time I was speaking to you people, to you guys, men and women, I said that there were, close to 300 cameras on campus, and I don't think that the students know that either.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know it for sure, and I'm paying attention to these kinds of things. So here we are. We have everybody coming, not everybody. Okay, we have people coming back to campus starting next Tuesday. We've had classes in theater and dance that started last week. We have students in our dorms. We have students in our dorms that have come from far away that I understand are being quarantined. And I'm not sure exactly how that's working.
Yeah, definitely.
And we also have reports, which you're probably more tuned into than I, that sororities and fraternities and other organizations on campus are gearing up to have, fall, let's just, we can call them a party or a mixer or a meeting or whatever, which really scares me a lot, because if you look at the University of North Carolina, Notre Dame, or any other schools that had students come back early, typically the issues with COVID-19 disease arise after mass gatherings.
Yeah. And we also see, like, within the first week of a lot of these schools reopening, they're closing down, going back to fully remote. And I know a lot of universities have just started out fully remote, like Rutgers. But why do you think MSU is taking kind of a different approach?
I'm actually sorry you asked me that question. You might hear why. I think it's money.
And visuals, you think?
Well, the visuals go back to money. Okay.
Yeah.
So, you're interviewing me. I'm not interviewing you, but I'm not sure how, I'm not sure what's in students' minds. So I think what the university absolutely wanted to do is get students back on campus and classes starting.
Yeah.
And collect whatever revenue that we derive from our residence halls these days, before they would make a decision that would jeopardize those revenues. So if it's optics, but it comes down to a business model that I think many of my colleagues and many students as well might think that is not paying well enough attention to our health and safety. Now, look, I'm not Susan Cole, right? I'm not Provost Gingrich. I'm not Vice President Pennington. I'm very happy that I don't have to make these decisions, because they're looking at the finances of the university and they're saying, well, if we take this kind of hit, this is going to affect the university long-term for many years. But it's my job as the president of the local to advocate for our members. And it's my personal responsibility as a teacher educator and somebody who cares about our students to advocate for them. And I think that there are competing needs here. You asked in the beginning, I think in the opening, about any sort of dialogue. So in the report, there's a committee, another committee, separate committee, that is not established, but that's reconstituted. So we have a safety committee on campus that's now changed to the Safety and Restart Committee. Now, this committee does have broad-based representation, and I believe there are 3 to 5 students on that committee. Okay, so the committee was approved at the July 15th, I think that was the date, the July 15th Board of Trustees meeting. So that's a full 6 weeks ago. And yet the committee has not met. So where's the commitment by the university to make sure that all of the contingencies that we've put in place that are supposed to be monitored by this broad-based committee, where's the commitment by the university to get that committee started up and running right away? My commitment to that committee, because originally Susan Cole, President Cole, said that the committee wasn't going to start working until September, until we all came back, which to me was absolutely unacceptable, enough so that through the Council of New Jersey State College Locals, we went to the governor and asked him to ask or require Susan Cole to jumpstart that committee. We weren't asking him to change the policies.
Right.
We just wanted that committee. And the governor's office essentially said that the committee is not required. It was, quote, recommended.
Right.
And
So,
he wasn't going to do that. Yep.
right. So to clarify, do faculty and staff have a say on whether they choose to be on campus or not?
To an extent. So faculty and staff, in some cases, were asked about the modality of their courses, okay? In some cases, it was genuine, and faculty, well, first of all of our graduate courses are online. So anybody who's teaching, so we're just talking about our teaching staff now. Any of our teaching staff who are teaching graduate courses, only, all of those courses are online. Okay. That was stated in the beginning. Then most of the deans asked, what your preferred modality was going to be. And there were faculty who opted to teach Hawk Flex, right, or whatever. I don't know that there are that many face-to-face classes that are scheduled. And the reason for that is there is no way to socially distance in a classroom. Okay, we don't, we have 6 100-seat classrooms and 1 200-seat classroom. So what do? Put a professor up in the front and have 30 people in 100 seats? I'm not sure how that works. And in our classrooms, say in University Hall, which are designed for 30 or 40 students, the 30 student classrooms have no windows in them, right? So, I mean, there's no way to socially distance in a classroom. So I don't know how we do face-to-face. Now, the Hawk Flex model is what it is. And we've spent $2 million to outfit rooms so faculty members can have students in class and some students remote. I'm going to be interested to see how that works, how many students will actually come to class.
Yeah.
Experience says 1 or 2 will, okay, always, but it's going to be a real difficult situation, and I don't know what's going to happen in 2 weeks from now.
Yeah.
Nobody knows. Yeah.
So we have to move along, but we do have just a few more questions before we let you go.
Sorry.
There are professors and staff that are very visible with the student population, especially here in SCM. and we're hearing that there's a mandate to be in at least 3 days, when a lot of those professors, pretty much all those professors, did their jobs remotely for 5 months. So without a vaccine or known effective treatment, why do you think they can't just continue working remotely? Is it going back to
Well,
optics and money, or?
it's I'm not. I think it's irrational. First of all, I'm not aware that faculty, teaching staff, are being told that they need to be in 3 days a week. Okay, so the teaching staff have their courses and whatever modalities they are, and whatever the requirements for those modalities might be. It's the professional staff, your advisors, and everybody who staffs offices that are being told that they need to be in either 3 days a week or 3 days and 2 days on opposite, on alternating weeks. So let's talk about a specific thing that maybe that I can use as an example. Our registrar's office. So, I'm speaking to, I don't know, 25,000 students out there who's listening to me, and the three of you. How many times have you gone into the registrar's office and needed to speak to somebody personally, right? And there's 20 people or so that work there, and they have demonstrated that they can work from home. And yet the registrar has determined that people need to be in 3 days one week, 2 days the next, alternating, and do their jobs from their desks. And by the way, it's even crazier than that. I mean, they demonstrated that they can do the jobs at home and they don't interact with students, right? And if they do, there's phones and Zoom, right?
Yeah.
But the plan was that they were going to move into College Hall. So now College Hall, the move-in, I believe, is delayed. So they wanted them to move.
It's still not done.
Right. Yeah, they wanted them to move into swing space that we consider dangerous. So we're working with we're not really working with the administration, because the administration doesn't really work with, but we're trying to get the administration to see that, people like that are doing their job now from home, should continue to do their job from home until such time as campus is safe.
Right.
Definitely.
President Trump blasted universities yesterday and said that closing campuses could cost lives. But then we see UNC and Notre Dame, and we wonder, what steps is MSU taking to protect our most vulnerable members? And is it enough? Specifically, what are members whose families have underlying issues?
Right. So there's two pieces to that. Are you asking, if you're asking about students, I don't think that any students are required to come to campus, right? I think that Governor Murphy made it clear that if students wanted to opt out of coming to campus, that they could do so. On the faculty, staff, the worker side, so it's even management, you apply for a waiver. The good news on that is that from my perspective, I'm not hearing that either very many or in fact any people who have applied for waivers are not having them granted. What's going to happen now is people are applying for waivers because, for instance, say the Newark public schools are not opening until November. So what do you do with, you've got a work routine that deals with getting your kids up early in the morning, off to school, and then there's aftercare, and you're home at, say, 5 o'clock. Kids come back from aftercare, which is a good thing. But now those students have no place to go. You've demonstrated you've worked from home already.
Yeah.
And what do you do with, childcare? Our childcare center is not open. Childcare is a problem because, Ryan, you've had this mask on now for what, 40 minutes that I've seen.
Well, I've had it. Yeah, it's been on for 40 minutes, but we also have the show prep before this, and then
Right.
I'm on campus around,
Wearing a mask is difficult for us who are adults.
Yeah.
Okay. For children, I'm going to say it's near impossible. Right. And you know, Crystal, you brought up, you know, President Trump, and he says that, you know, students aren't getting sick. Well, students are asymptomatic, right? Kids have been asymptomatic, but they're still transmitters, and they could still bring a disease home to their parents, who
Exactly.
have all sorts of reasons to fear getting sick. And you know, I want to say also that our Black and brown communities are harder hit for a variety of different reasons: poverty, lack of quality health care, immigration status that cause people not to want to go to doctors. Okay, there's lots of there's lots of reasons why those communities don't get the care that they need.
Definitely.
And they're hit not exponentially. They're hit much harder than
Significantly harder, just
significantly
in
more,
general.
right?
Yeah.
And where's our, you know, commitment to them and for those families? So right now I'm working with a number of our faculty, actually they're not faculty, our staff members who have childcare issues, and we want to be able to make sure that they also can work from home. The interesting thing is, it looks like anybody who is either obese, which by the way is a technical term, and more of us are obese than would care to admit based on body fat index, okay, or over 65, or asthma, or, you know, the 100 other things. We're at least dealing with those okay on campus at this point, I think. But there are some people that have childcare issues in particular coming to the front now that we need to deal with.
Yeah. So we just have a few minutes left, but I want to try and fit in one or two last questions. So I think, this question, when we wrote it down, I actually found kind of interesting, because we as students would not have been kind of privy to this information if, you know, not for Annabella and Adam, you know, the people who take us to air, who have been taking us to air for 5 months. We had to take time off in July because of the furloughs. And we understand furloughs were agreed on and voted by all members of the AFT at a state level to prevent 13% of professional staff being laid off. And then we've seen tweets from MSU employees asking the Department of Labor for assistance with getting their paperwork sorted. And this is not something that's affecting only MSU. Several people are having issues filing for, you know, unemployment and whatnot. So it seems to be a big pile of problems. What do you think the issue is right now at MSU?
The issue, right? So the AFT and the CWA agreed to furloughs because the university said at the time when we started to negotiate it, two things. One, that they felt that there was going to be a $30 million shortfall in the current fiscal year. $30 million was the number that they used in the beginning. That number rose in a couple of things that Susan Cole has gone public with to 40 million. The university received 20 million from the federal government, 10 million, which is supposed to go through the CARES Act, I believe. 10 million is supposed to go directly to student assistance, 10 million, I guess, to the general fund. Last week, $15 million was given to Montclair State University from the governor, right? But the bottom line is, there's no doubt that we have a fiscal issue, and the members of AFT and CWA and all organized labor across campus, not all, but most organized labor across campus, agreed that we would take furloughs. So our donation from the AFT for losing 12 days pay and deferring a raise that was negotiated, we believe is in the $8 million range, okay? Which has a clause that says that nobody will be laid off for 18 months, which is a good thing. There's some nuances to that, but that's not for now. And we felt that, and there was a very real chance that Dr. Cole would have laid off as many as 135 persons when we were negotiating that, that agreement. The thing that is really, really troubling to me is that there's no administrator that is taking a pay cut at all. Okay. Susan Cole has said that her administrators are working extremely hard and they deserve every dime that they make. And I agree with that, except that so do organized labor on campus. Dr. Cole has taken a pay cut, not in her salary, but she has asked the Board of Trustees not to give her her performance bonus this year, which I'm going to try and look at all your eyes when I say this is $91,000. Okay. Right. See, there you go. I needed to look at Crystal's mouth, right? Right. So she makes, I think 450, it's 430 or something like that. Okay. And they give her a 20% performance bonus every year, which comes out to $91,000. She's foregoing that this year. So she will be making $91,000 less than she made last year, but still a hefty number. But none of the other administrators on campus are taking any sort of hit. And in my mind, just from the gestalt of all of this, if we were in such fiscal shape, such bad fiscal shape, don't you think that she would be looking for money from those areas as well? And I do want to say that I believe that our administrators would have no problem doing that, right?
Especially because many administrators have a, we'll say just probably on average a higher salary than many of the other people, who are working on campus. So
Correct.
taking a pay cut would, even if it's minor, only a small percent, it would most likely help the university.
We have administrators making $250,000, $300,000.
Yeah,
a lot of money.
We did hear, and I kind of want to hear if you can confirm this. We did hear that she let go of, I think, 10% of management.
So Susan Cole said in a speech that she had let go 10% of management. I can tell you that from my vantage point in the union, we've not seen that. What I have been told, and I don't know, you could decide if this is contradictory or not. What I have been told is that next year at this time, they expect to have 10% fewer management than they have right now. So, which is a difference between firing 10% of the management immediately.
Yeah.
My guess is those persons that are not going to be here next year are not the ones making $250,000 or $300,000 a year. But she did say that that's what they were going to do. Now, to that, I'm going to say that we've had an exponential growth in management over time. And, maybe this is just the appropriate correction, but not necessarily the answer to our fiscal problem.
Very fair. Well, Dr. Wolfson, I just want to thank you so much for all you do to keep the faculty and staff voices on top of mind with the administration, and for being especially super honest with us. That's the best possible thing we could have asked for. So we wish you a healthy and safe semester ahead, and hope to see you soon, and hope to have you back again so we can have some more talks on Montclair State.
Yeah, I actually really enjoy this, and I'll come back. I'm not going to say anytime you want me, but I'll come back anytime that it's feasible, that we have actually something to talk about.
Definitely.
But I want to leave you with this because I know that students listen to this. The only way that we get out from under this is by wearing the masks, socially distancing, and washing our hands with soap. Okay, that's what knocks down this virus. Transmission and killing transmission is key, and it requires our community, all of us, to do that. not only to protect us, but to protect your families and the greater family of the people who live in New Jersey. This is on us, and we can do it, but we have to be committed.
Dr. Wolfson, again, thank you so much. It was great having you here today.
Thanks.
Hope to have you back. Stay safe.
Take care. Make good choices.
Boys.
We try our
Of
best.
course.
Okay.
So, last night, we had I believe the third night in a row of the DNC, Democratic Boundary Breakers Night, as some people are calling it. We had Obama, Clinton, and Harris. So here are some quick takeaways from last night, a little recap. The Democrats' historic boundary breakers joined forces Wednesday night at the party's national convention, pleading urgently for Joe Biden's diverse coalition to make whatever effort it takes to vote this fall rather than just complain about President Trump. Their overriding message: your lives and democracy itself may be at stake. Barack Obama, the nation's first Black president, and Hillary Clinton, the first woman nominated for president by a majority party, were speaking on Biden's behalf, and Kamala Harris, Biden's running mate and the first Black woman on a majority party ticket, was delivering highly anticipated remarks that will serve as her first introduction to millions of voters. Here's what she said. Quote, when we vote, things change. When we vote, things get better. When we vote, we address the need for all people to be treated with dignity and respect. So each of us needs a plan, a voting plan, end quote. Obama calls Biden his brother. He says, quote, I have sat in the Oval Office with both of the men who are running for president. I never expected that my successor would embrace my vision or continue my policies. I did hope, for the sake of our country, that Donald Trump might show some interest in taking the job seriously, that he might come to feel the weight of the office and discover some reverence for the democracy that had been placed in his care. Next week, we are going to see Trump's turn. So we will definitely be reporting on that for next week. What do you guys think? And for all of you radio listeners out there, if you want to see, we have some visuals, courtesy of AP News, of the DNC and some of the speakers. But what do you all think? I think it's going to be an interesting week next week to kind of see how Trump fires back.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Trump, like, he always likes to fight his own battles. So with Obama making that statement, there's gonna be some interesting stuff going on.
Exactly. And
For
let's cross our fingers it's not too dramatic and it keeps civil, but hey, if it's dramatic, it'll be fun to report on, I guess.
Yeah, I was gonna say the drama doesn't always benefit us, but it's sometimes
we'll keep an eye on Twitter. That's for sure.
Well, we'll see. I haven't checked Twitter, but I'll check later and see if he tweeted something.
Oh, I can almost guarantee it.
Oh,
For
for
sure. But moving on to another story, American Airlines will be dropping flights to 15 cities later in the year. As we continue to live through this pandemic, many companies are modifying their everyday operations in order to cut their losses. American Airlines will drop flights to 15 smaller U.S. cities in October when a federal requirement to serve those communities ends. According to AP News, American said that its schedule covering October 7th through November 3rd would drop flights to cities including New Windsor, New York, New Haven, Connecticut, and Springfield, Illinois. So if you're planning to travel there, you have to plan better because
better plan to drive
or pick a different airline. In a statement, the airline said this is the first step as American Airlines continues to evaluate its network and plans for additional schedule changes in the upcoming weeks.
Yeah, definitely. It's kind of crazy to see. So personally, my dad is on a business trip and he's flying right now, and I just find it interesting. I've dropped him off at the airport, and it's crazy to see how few people are at the airport dropping people off, but there's still more than I would expect, to be entirely honest. I know airlines or flights now, you can get flights for pretty cheap. You could get
Yeah.
tickets for halfway across the country for less than 3 digits, which is mind-blowing to me as someone who's been
Sure.
traveling like my whole life.
Yeah, I mean, for a lot of the teenagers, the joke was once COVID started that all these young people were going to go on vacation because the flight tickets were so cheap. Um,
But
but yeah, no, it is crazy to see the impact that COVID's had on, I mean, everything in general, but the airlines specifically. But there's some people, because of their job, they have no choice. They have to travel. And I can imagine it
yeah.
being kind of scary. Like,
Yeah, and especially the part that blows me away is the fact that American Airlines, obviously one of the major, I guess you could say it's one of the biggest, airline companies. You have the big ones, you have American Airlines, you have United. Um, the fact that they're dropping flights to 15 major cities like Springfield, New Windsor, New Haven, like I mean, I guess I'm glad in a sense that they're not going out of business because there were rumors at the start of this whole thing where if it doesn't get better in, say, 6 months, airlines are really going to start struggling. And it's been about 5 months and they are struggling.
I
Um,
mean, I just worry that this could be part of the downward spiral.
yeah,
This could be one
definitely.
step closer to who knows what.
Exactly. Well, we'll we'll keep our fingers crossed, I guess, for all of not just American Airlines, for the whole flying airline industry in general.
Honestly, for the economy,
Yeah,
for
just for the
everyone.
economy. Anyways, moving on to another story. Unemployment. You hear about it almost daily now in the news, especially since COVID started. And the number of Americans filing for unemployment insurance unexpectedly rose last week. The Labor Department reported this morning that 1.1 million workers filed new claims for state unemployment benefits compared with 971,000 the previous week. Before the pandemic, weekly claims averaged around only 220,000.
Oh my God.
They
That's
have been
crazy.
over 1 million. The average was 220,000. Now they have been at over 1 million for 20 weeks straight.
My God.
It's crazy. I'm worried. I'm concerned.
It's nuts. It's
It's not
crazy. And
good.
yeah, and although new
Uh,
claims are being submitted, according to the New York Times, the Labor Department reported that this month that employers added 1.8 million jobs in July. But we're still, you open business back up and jobs come back up, but people are still, well, no, it's true, but people are still filing for unemployment. And the weird part is why is it spiking again? It started going down a tiny bit and now it's rising again, but businesses are opening back up.
As a daughter of business owners, I can tell you that it's even though businesses are opening, it's not like regular business. So you don't need employees at the moment. And as much as you want to keep them on, it's like you need to cut costs like wherever is possible because it's like lose your business, which is like your livelihood, or lose like a person. Like I know it's
Yeah.
like a difficult
Well,
decision, but
it sounds tough, but it's true. If you have to
mhm.
pick either, losing the whole business and everyone who works there or just losing one or two people, I guess the tough choice to make is,
I
losing
I
yeah, I
mean,
one.
guess
yeah,
it's kind of
if
it's
you
like
keep go ahead,
you go,
Sabrina.
you go.
I was just
Officially,
gonna
you go.
say, if you get to keep the business, then hopefully, and fingers crossed. I know we are living in a moment of uncertainty, but eventually, like down the road, let's say in a month, if we were to enter stage 3 or anything like that, then you can rehire those individuals. As compared if you didn't have the business, it's like, well, now you're two people are unemployed plus the owners are unemployed. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, exactly. So
I'm also thinking about like all these restaurants where honestly, thank God that like we've had such great weather so that we can do outdoor dining. But once it starts getting cold outside, they're going to need less and less workers because they're going to have less and less people coming to these restaurants and these small businesses, which is
we're gonna go back
certainly
to
not going to
everybody
help.
doing takeout again, if
Yeah.
this keeps going on. So,
Mhm.
but that's if we
anyways,
have money to order takeout.
Exactly.
Because if we don't,
Yeah, good point.
Exactly. So
I
that's
was reading
what's.
this.
Oh, go
Go
ahead.
ahead, Ryan. I was just gonna say I was reading this article that basically said that because those people who were filing for unemployment every week they would get an additional 600 because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
And since that expired in the ending of July, it's like now those extra 600s people can't count on them. And so it's like now people have an even tighter budget.
Yeah.
And I was reading this article that basically said that the concern is like now that the government is not putting, I guess, essentially money in people's pockets and people aren't going to be spending that money, it's like, so where are we at? There is no money to spend. And it's kind of concerning because like there's no money, going back into the economy. So
Yeah. I think right now the economy is largely driven by human emotion, and the human emotion everyone's feeling right now is fear, worry, anxiety. And then if it keeps up like that, then basically we go into a free fall. So hopefully the economy will start doing a little better. But just as Dr. Wolfson said earlier, it's up to us. Stay safe, wear your masks, especially people who are in some bad states right now. Not bad as in like the state is bad, but bad as in the state of the state is bad, if you know what I mean. um, Florida. Hi, I'm Ryan, and
praying for you.
yeah, Florida, we're crossing our fingers, praying to whoever for you. Uh, Most importantly, what is going on with Florida right now? Because apparently 750 million genetically engineered mosquitoes were approved for release in the Florida Keys. I used to live in Florida, and they got lots of mosquitoes there. Why do they need more? Find out now, I guess. Uh, so this plan came out, and they're expected to release 750 million genetically modified mosquitoes. It's like Jurassic Park, into the Keys in 2021 and 2022. It received final approval recently, against the objection of many local residents, probably due to the same concept that, I wouldn't necessarily want more mosquitoes, is that there's already a lot of mosquitoes in Florida. But they say, "quote with all the urgent crises facing our nation and the state of Florida, the COVID-19 pandemic, racial injustice, climate change, the administration has used tax dollars and government resources for, as I said, a Jurassic Park experiment." End quote. That was from J.D. Hansen, the policy director for the International Career Center for Technology Assessment and Center for Food Safety. A statement was released today. So this initiative, I guess, was approved by the Environment Protection Agency back in May. And the project is designed to test if a genetically modified mosquito is a viable alternative to spraying insecticides. I understand the concept. I understand the reasoning.
I understand, but I don't understand.
Exactly.
What?
Yeah, it's to control. It's the idea is it's to control the. I'm so gonna butcher this. So biologists and bug study people just at me. The Aedes aegypti. It's basically a species of mosquitoes that carries several deadly diseases, such as like Zika virus, dengue, chikungunya, and yellow fever. And it's just so the mosquito is named OX 5034, very catchy name.
Yeah,
And it's been
definitely.
altered to produce female offspring that die in the larval stage. So the weird idea is by releasing more mosquitoes, it will reduce the amount of mosquitoes in the future because the females are the ones that bite. Male mosquitoes don't bite; they feed on nectar.
Ooh, the
Yeah.
more you know, because
Ironic.
I did not know that. So fun fact,
Yes.
everyone.
So
Ah.
it's kind of, again, I get the idea. It's to reduce mosquitoes, but Florida doesn't need more mosquitoes. Like,
You do what
what?
you gotta do. I mean, it's a pretty smart idea. I'll give it that much.
It is. It's a smart idea, but man, people in Florida, instead of wearing a face mask, just wear a bodysuit. like wear a hazmat suit. If they're
Florida
gonna be putting
really,
more mosquitoes out there. Dear Lord, they already have enough mosquitoes. I don't know how they're gonna. I wouldn't be able to deal with more mosquitoes. But hey, Annabella, if you show a picture of them, there it is. All right.
are you gonna,
For those of you who are listening, feel free to not tune into the Facebook.
it's gone. It's
Oh,
gone.
it's good. Yeah, now you can tune back into the Facebook stream. Annabella likes to torture me by sharing pictures of bugs. Thank you for that very much. Anyways, more mosquitoes. More mosquitoes. Is it good? Is it bad? I don't know. Thankfully, I don't live in Florida anymore, so it's not my problem. But to all our listeners who are in Florida, good luck. Buy some, I don't know, off maybe if that's what you use. I just stay inside. That's the best way to not get bit by a mosquito. Anyways,
Stay in Jersey.
yeah.
The winter's coming. Don't worry.
The best way to not get bit by a mosquito is not live in a state where mosquitoes live. Anyways, that said, it is about the top of the hour, 11:01, at least for me, here on 90.3 WMSC, Upper Montclair, New Jersey. This has been the Morning Buzz. It's been one good show. I'm glad that
The last summer episode.
it's true. The
No.
last summer episode, for
Wipe
those
your
of you
tears. Wipe your tears. We'll be back next week.
Exactly. So for those of you who might be crying, the listeners, it's okay. I know you're sad, Sabrina, but don't worry. All you have to do is wake up a little bit earlier. We are swapping to our fall semester schedule. We will be, I'm going to keep the hosts a little bit of a secret. Just kidding. The first show on Monday is going to be Amanda and I. We are back, but for the rest of the week, you might see some new faces, some people in new roles, some people being hosts instead of contributors, new contributors, all kinds of fun stuff. It's going to be great. Again, this starts just this Monday. And tomorrow we should have the last summer buzz, best of the buzz bits recap. But our new scheduled time is from 8 to 9. So again, this has been the Morning Buzz here on 90.3 WMSC, Upper Montclair, New Jersey. It rhymes. I love
It's
it.
so catchy.
It is very catchy. Thank you guys for having me. I know I'm not Kaya. I'm not a Powerpuff Girl,
It
but
could be.
You
alas,
can be.
I can be.
Yeah.
Could be.
Who would I be? What's Kaya? Is Kaya Bubbles? I don't know who was Bubbles.
I think
Shut-
Chris.
Brian, we
all
struggle.
I know
Just end
is
here,
that
end here.
Bubbles is Bubbles is a character, and I know
I thought
nothing
I
else
was
about
Bubbles.
the Powerpuff Girls.
Wait,
You're
was she
Bubbles?
Blossom?
Who
I
knows?
couldn't even tell you.
We'll figure it out. While we figure out our Powerpuff Girl powers, we hope all you wonderful listeners out there have a wonderful day, have a wonderful, safe weekend, wear a mask, use hand sanitizer, and most importantly, just don't be an idiot. Man, it's not that hard, believe it or not. If I can do it, you can do it, I believe. That said, don't forget that we'll be okay. And that's a segue to the song I'm going to play to wrap up the show. Thank you guys for tuning in. This one is We'll Be Okay by With Confidence. We'll see you guys next week.